All right, I was just going to say that I took down one of the original Fatmans. I took down a Legacy 120 and down the Holle 30 kilogram blob. Henry lifted all three first try in under a minute. So it was absolutely amazing. The blobs themselves are pretty special because the Fat Man was a gift from yourself to me, and that was the very first Fat Man blob in Australia. The 120 Legacy was a gift from Ben Helms, and that was the first 120 Legacy in Australia. And the Holle 30 was the number one. So it was the very first Holle 30 ever made, and I was the first one to lift it. So it was the first one made, first one lifted, and then anyway, just a bit of history behind them, and then Henry did them all easily without any surface prep, without even trying, without seeing them. So
yeah, and I want to make mention of that. Like aside from just lifting all three of them in a short period of time post competition, right? There's a lot of things like an axle or rolling handles that, whether it be strongmen or just people that are training in general, if they're bigger guys with strong, big hands, whatever, it's like you can kind of naturally have some sort of carryover to a thick bar lift or something like that, because it might relate to other work you've done or other lifts you've done. I bring up how impressive this is because there's not a lot of things that you encounter that have the slopes or open your hand up in the shape that a blob will. So that's not something that you can really even prepare for. So if you're not preparing for it, that's just like, okay, either you can lift it or you can't. And it is such a weird thing that like, yeah, your past training will have some carryover, but in that position, in that shape, probably not. So to lift all of those is just unreal power and unreal strength. Because like I said, it's not even a position that one can really fully prepare for. There's maybe some things that, that have carryover or whatever, but out of all lifting things, it's like V bars and thick bar and other stuff. I feel like people can kind of, I don't know. They can kind of relate to that. It's similar. It's, their hands in a similar position, even if it's a little bit wider. But for a blob, it's like, it's just a whole different world. And
thanks, Zach. I appreciate the kind words. And I remember getting the blobs out of the car with Joe. I'm picking up, going, "What the hell? These things look, don't look the same as they do in videos." And just seeing them in person, going, "People lift these." Like they are just vastly different to look at when you feel them and see them in person versus watching people do it on videos. And like you said, not a lot of carryover from almost anything. And when you get your hands on them, you don't have, unless you have them to lift, you just don't really get used to it, I don't think. But it for whatever reason, it felt comfortable for me. I do have a larger hand. And once I sort of had the right position, it felt secure. It wasn't going anywhere.
Easy peasy.
Set up on the hard way too.
Henry with the Fat Man. Phew. Come on. Yeah. Fat Man straight into 120 Legacy. This one's a little bit different. I hold it like that, kind of on an angle, sort of to try and make it more of a vert lift if I can. Oh. Yeah! Holy smokes!
How much is that weigh?
Woo!
Pardon?